Ed, thank you. Students at Palisades Charter High School returned to their original school today, more than a year after wildfires destroyed the campus. Flames destroyed about 40% of the school, and since then, it's undergone extensive rebuilding and environmental testing. Health experts also officially deemed the school safe for students and staff to return. Classes were held at an old Sears building in Santa Monica during the reconstruction of the campus.
Well, several California universities dismantled their inclusion and diversity programs over pressure from the Trump administration.
Now, the federal court says the administration's threat to cut DEI funding violated the First Amendment. So to help us make sense of all of this, we have UC San Diego instructor and author of the book, If DEI Could Talk, Dr. Parrish Jefferson. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and let's start with this. So many universities, they did dismantle their DEI programs, obviously before this ruling came down. What now? It feels, is it a little too late at this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what you're going to see is organizations are going to continue to kind of adjust their DEI frameworks. Some of them might change their names. You saw that UC San Diego went from EDI to organizational transformation. Others, I think it's going to be a bigger question. Do they want to try to bring those back? Or how are they going to figure out how to integrate it properly back into the university if they do that? So I think it's an unknown how universities are actually going to move forward in this time.
So why do you believe that universities, many of them acted before there was any legal requirement to do so?
I mean, the short answer is it was the funding threat, right? They didn't want to lose that money. It's so critical for universities to have that money just for their research and really their day-to-day operations. So that threat of losing that funding was serious. And I think they, as we've seen, someone may have acted a little prematurely, but it was a serious threat.
Mm-hmm. And obviously with the dismantling of these types of programs, some people lost their jobs in the process.
Yes, yeah.
What type of support have they been seeing, and now do they come back? Yeah. How does that work?
Yeah, that's another good question. A lot of my research, when I did my research, I talked to 16 different DEI professionals throughout the world, actually, and that was at the time when I did the research, it was just starting, right? And a lot of them did have that fear that they were going to lose their roles. What I found out is a lot of them have been kept in their roles, a lot of them have been moved to different roles, right? Mm-hmm. But those that have lost their roles, I think it's not maybe an individual thing, it's more of an organization or university thing. They went away from that. So there are still opportunities out there. They just might be under different umbrellas, right? It may not be DEI, like I said, it could be organizational transformation, some type of just inclusion or belonging, different types of roles.
Okay. And Dr. Jefferson, the Trump administration's decision to drop the appeal of his latest ruling, that's what's come down last week or so. What message does this send to perhaps students and faculty members?
Yeah, you know, I think really, to go back, I think the message needs to come from the universities themselves, right? They need to kind of explain, did they dismantle these programs because they believed they weren't in the best interest of the university, or did they just dismantle them because of political pressure, right? So those are two different roles they need to travel. If it's true that they believe they were effective, but they just canceled them because of the pressure, then they're gonna have some explaining to do, right? But if they thought that they weren't effective or thought they weren't working, that's going to be a different conversation. So they'll have to figure that out with the student body and talk with them.
Is it fair to say that universities are now coping with the loss of resources?
Yes, that's fair to say that. Some of them, like I've seen, some of the ones that had it more integrated into their organizations or their universities, they didn't dismantle it. They just maybe relabeled it or rebranded it, so they're still doing the work. They still understand the importance. And really what's most important, what I found out from my research, is the leadership commitment is what matters most, right? When you have universities from the top down that believed in the DEI initiatives, those universities are still going to be successful. They're not going to have the problems of really bringing it back or strengthening it up or whatever they decide to do.
You also brought a copy of your book. Hold that up for a second there. I want to give you some PR if we can.
Definitely.
So kind of, I like to do this in about 30 seconds. Can you sort of summarize what's in there?
Yeah, this is it's called If DEI Could Talk. It's in my pen name, Christian Banks, and the reason it's in my pen name is because this book is real stories of real institutions, real corporations I worked for, real people, so I had to change the names and my name. But what it does is really, I hope it can spark conversation. It's about my journey, and I give real stories of what happened, and then the title, If DEI Could Talk, at the end I give this, if DEI could talk, what would it say about this situation? What would it say about this incident? So it's a learning opportunity, but also I think it's going to spark conversation about DEI.
And where can people pick this up?
You can pick it up on Amazon, or you can pick it up through my publisher, which is Archway Publishing. On either site you can find it. BarnesandNoble.com as well. Anywhere you buy books, you'll find it.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for being here this afternoon.